He says, not my problem anymore. What's going on in Cleveland?
Favorite thing, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He leads them to the playoffs. He wins the division. He has found himself as an NFL quarterback.
Haters are absolutely fuming, and Baker Mayfield isn't losing a wink of sleep. The former Browns quarterback just humiliated Cleveland on national airwaves with one savage line that shut the door on all the drama. The Browns QB room is a disaster, and Baker is thriving and making sure everyone knows it.
As you remember, back in 2018, the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield with the #1 overall pick, and it didn't end so well there. In the 2022 offseason, the Browns elected to move on from Baker Mayfield.
The Cleveland Browns really thought they'd crack the code back in 2018. First overall pick, big personality, Heisman winner. Baker Mayfield was supposed to be their football messiah. The guy who'd march into that cursed quarterback graveyard and finally put up a closed sign. And to be fair, for a minute, he kind of did.
This season overall, I thought was a pretty good season. He went to a place where he had playmakers at wide receiver. Those guys know how to make plays. He did a really good job of getting.
He broke the longest playoff drought in the NFL, won a playoff game, something Cleveland fans hadn't witnessed since VHS tapes were still relevant. For a team that spent 2 decades cycling through QBs like expired milk, Baker brought something dangerous. Hope. He had fire. He had guts. And more importantly, he gave Cleveland something it hadn't had since the Bernie Kosar days. A pulse. But this is Cleveland we're talking about. You don't cure dysfunction overnight. You just change the name on the jersey.
They gave him that record-setting contract, guaranteeing him $230 million. How did that work out?
Fast forward to 2025, and the Browns quarterback room looks less like an NFL depth chart and more like an identity crisis with cleats. 5 QBs, yes, 5. Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, rookie Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. It's less of a competition and more of a quarterback support group. Watson's got the $230 million contract, but no results. Flacco's practically a fossil. Pickett already flamed out in Pittsburgh. Gabriel's still learning where the Gatorade is. And Shedeur, talented no doubt, but raw, and now tossed into the NFL's most dysfunctional blender. It's not a quarterback battle. It's a 5-way panic attack.
When I went to this playoff game and I looked at it all week, I said that Tampa Bay should win because the Eagles looked terrible.
Yeah, they did.
They went out there and he did exactly what I thought he would do.
Yeah. And through all of that, one name still haunts them like a ghost in shoulder pads. Baker Mayfield. See, Baker wasn't perfect. He had his ups and downs. And yes, the cockiness rubbed people the wrong way. But you know what else he had? A win. A playoff win. Something not a single one of those 5 current Browns QBs can say. The only thing Cleveland's been consistent about since Baker left is being consistently awful at figuring out who should play quarterback.
He did play through an injury in 2021, and he was good at times there, but he says, not my problem anymore. What's going on in Cleveland?
They were a mess together. That was a bad marriage. They broke up for the right reasons, and he is the biggest winner.
Let's not forget how that breakup happened either. In 2021, Baker played through a torn labrum. Torn, not sore, not strained, torn. Dude's shoulder was held together with duct tape and pride. And how did the Browns reward that toughness? They packed his bags, blamed him for the mess, and handed the keys to a guy who hadn't played football in over a year and had a legal cloud hanging over his head like a monsoon.
It shows you what fools they were.
Oh, that ain't fools.
Fools!
They even bigger fools for signing Baker Mayfield. Thank you.
Deshaun Watson came with 20+ civil lawsuits, hadn't thrown a pass in 700+ days, and still got the richest, most guaranteed contract in NFL history. And the Browns didn't just replace Baker, they made it personal. They acted like he was the reason the franchise was still cursed, not the 20 years of bad drafting, worse coaching, and total front office dysfunction. And now they look absolutely ridiculous.
What happened on the other side of the coin? Baker Mayfield ends up in Tampa Bay. He ends up having the strongest stretch of his career, dominating the top of that division. Things are going good for Baker in his most recent home, I should say.
While the Browns are busy cycling through quarterbacks like they're trying flavors at an ice cream shop, Baker Mayfield has been out here thriving. Quietly, confidently, and without breaking a sweat. Remember Tampa Bay, the team everyone assumed would crumble without Tom Brady? Yeah, that team. Baker rolled in, silenced the doubters, and put up the best numbers of his career. Not just decent, career best. He led them to the playoffs. He stabilized the locker room. He didn't just show up, he showed out, and Tampa noticed. They handed him a $30 million guaranteed extension for 2026. Respect finally matched reality. Not bad for a guy 3 three franchises tossed aside like leftovers. If you're loving this comeback chaos, hit subscribe so you don't miss a single shot fired.
How can we fix the quarterback situation in Cleveland? What is going on, Baker?
Listen, I plead the fifth, but I don't know. When I was healthy, I was starting to get pretty damn good there.
That's fair.
There you go.
Not my problem anymore.
Then came the real mic drop. In the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce, Baker hit with that question. So, what's going on in Cleveland's QB room? The setup was perfect, and Baker, oh, he delivered. No rant, no ranting, no bitterness. Just a slight smile and 4 brutal words. Not my problem anymore.
He's had success, but it has to make you feel good that the place that you poured a lot into, that said you weren't good enough and moved on from you, is struggling.
And came the kicker. I plead the fifth. And just when you thought he was coasting, he hit him with the final jab. When I was healthy, I was starting to get pretty damn good there. That wasn't trash talk. That was a surgical dismantling of Cleveland's decision-making. Cool, clean, and ice cold. Baker didn't throw a tantrum. He threw facts. He didn't need to scream. The Browns are doing enough flailing for both sides. His message was simple. I moved on. I leveled up. You didn't.
He's above what happened with him specifically in Cleveland. And that soundbite didn't prove that.
And that's what made it so devastating. It wasn't just a soundbite. It was a statement, not from a bitter ex, but from someone who's winning the breakup by every metric. Playoff appearances, statistics, stability, leadership, the works. The Browns burned the bridge, and Baker didn't look back. He built a freeway.
The dude just got an extra $30 million guaranteed yesterday per Adam Schefter on his contract for 2026. To use Pat Costello's favorite thing, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He leads them to the playoffs. He wins the division. He has found himself as an NFL quarterback. You cannot consider him a bust by any stretch of the imagination. He is going to have a lengthy, productive, excellent NFL career to his credit.
Sports shows went nuts. Michelle Smallman wasn't thrilled with it. Said it felt a little smug. Maybe it was. But Chris Canty, he was all in. Defended Baker like a proud older brother. Said the guy had every right to flex. He's earned it. Evan Cohen took it even deeper, explaining how rejection fuels players. Getting dumped by a franchise is personal. It sticks with you. And when you get the chance to clap back, even slightly, you take it.
We all know Baker Mayfield was let go, and now he's balling out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's when I know they wish they could get back.
Because let's be honest, if your old team blamed you for everything, kicked you out, brought in someone worse, and then watched you succeed while they kept drowning, wouldn't you smile a little? Baker didn't say anything cruel. He didn't take cheap shots. He just dropped the facts. He's doing great. Cleveland still lost.
Quarterback is a problem for Cleveland.
I think it's Pickett was the first guy in. Pickett was the safety school. Pickett was the placeholder, and then they went forward with their plan, Flacco, and you bring in the 2 rookies.
Meanwhile, back in Ohio, the QB room looks like an episode of Who Wants to Be a Starter? Watson's contract is an anchor. Flacco looks like he's teaching high school health between games. Pickett's already on thin ice. Gabriel's raw meat. And Shadur, the poor guy just got there. The last thing he needs is to get swallowed by Cleveland's chaos machine. Let's not sugarcoat it. This Deshaun Watson situation is turning into a historic disaster.
There's a lot of touchdowns when the game was out of reach.
3 first-round picks gone. $230 million fully guaranteed. And what has Cleveland gotten? A guy who's played like a mediocre backup and still brings more off-field headlines than on-field highlights. His QBR last season, a measly 48. That's 25th in the league. You know who had better seasons? Baker, Geno Smith, even Bo Nix. That's not elite. That's expensive failure.
I don't care who came available.
And now the Browns have no direction, no stability, and 0 quarterback identity. They look lost. Meanwhile, Baker Mayfield, the guy they labeled the problem, is quietly building his second act into something impressive. You want to talk parallels? Look at Geno Smith. Took nearly a decade to find his moment, and when he did, he ran with it. Matthew Stafford spent years buried in Detroit, then got out and won a Super Bowl. Baker's starting to feel like the next guy on that list. The next quarterback redemption story that catches fire. Tampa Bay's got the pieces. They've got a solid core, and most importantly, they've got a quarterback who's not just surviving anymore. He's leading, he's growing, and he's proving people wrong with every snap.
Baker Mayfield's awesome. He has become an awesome quarterback.
Yeah.
The Browns' days are almost borderline irrelevant at this point.
He's not just some fired up rookie with a chip on his shoulder. He's a franchise guy now, and the Buccaneers know it. That's why they extended him. That's why he's their future. And the Browns, they're not even his past anymore. This isn't just about football. This is about resilience. It's about what happens when a player refuses to let the league define him. When he takes every headline, every insult, every he's done hot take, and turns it into fuel. The NFL loves a comeback story, and until it forces them to admit they were wrong. And Baker Mayfield's comeback isn't just working. It's loud, it's real, and it's making a whole lot of people squirm. Like this video and hit the subscribe button because this story is just the beginning.